to be in a Sundance, a Berlin, or Cannes, because it seems like the Canadian press almost gives you more attention if you're one of the few that's lucky enough to be selected in those environments.
Do you think? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think that the Canadian film independent maybe their expectation is higher in terms of entering into the Toronto Film Festival, or do you think they're? Let me articulate that a little bit better. Do the festival in Toronto, does they meet that expectation? The independent film expectations?
Well, for me, every single film I've made since my short films have played here.
You're an exception.
Well, I think for me, so going back to my first feature film, I think that if I didn't get it shown in Cannes, I don't know if I would be here right now, And so, having my first film shown in Cannes in May, and having people talk about the film over the summer, and then playing it in Toronto that September, really launched the film. Really helped to generate a reputation. So I think festivals are valuable. I mean, and there's a handful. There's Sundance, there's Berlin, there's Cannes, and there's Toronto. Really, to help launch the film. And I think any independent marketing launch have to include a festival opening. John?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in the case of Water last year, after they signed their deal, I guess with I guess it was Fox Searchlight. And but Hussein, my hat's off to Hussein, because generally what the sort of rule of thumb for a Canadian distributor is, if you sign an American deal, wait until the U.S. makes their release. And Hussein just sort of said, no, we've got all this great heat coming off of Toronto, let's release now. And the Canadian public responded to Deepa's film, overwhelmingly. I think it was over 2 million, I guess, it was in box office, which was fantastic. And Hussein just said, no, we're not going to wait for the U.S., we're going to go on our own. That could not have happened without a big gala screening here in Toronto, without all the, the love and the press that she got from the press. And that's exactly what I'm hoping. And if anyone hears from the festival, opening night gala for this film is my minimum requirement next year. And yes, Ralph, we will spend well over $1 million if we get that on the marketing. So I mean, I think that's the thing. It has changed a lot here, and that's why I say, talking to one of the other questions, the Canadian audiences are slowly coming around, even though we don't control our own theaters. We have theater operators here who are very pro-Canadian film, and we can get the screens if we need them. It is, the situation could be better, but the audience is turning around. So, and yeah, the festivals for me, particularly for Canadian film, are just about everything. So, for a particular type of film.
I think we're going to be asked to wrap it up.
So I just wanted to answer Indira's question around, at any given point, we have about 4 or 5 projects on the go, and Lie With Me and the Poor Boys Game were on a sort of a simultaneous track. And Lie With Me was, I saw it as a kind of, I mean, as a filmmaker, as a business person, you're trying to figure out how do you make money, A, and B, grow as an artist. And so I wanted to make one film that was more a European style, and Poor Boys Game is a much more independent North American style. And so shooting Lie With Me, in a way, felt very different from shooting Poor Boys Game. I was shooting a lot of setups doing Poor Boys Game, 35 setups a day. But Lie With Me was 15, because we were shooting takes that were 5 minutes long, and so it was a very different visual storytelling experience. And so, but they informed me as a filmmaker.
May I just make one more comment? I'm pretty sure that this film will be very successful for you for 2 reasons. One is because you directed it, and the other is just because you've employed the Tanya Lee.
I think that part of what we did was really try to find the cast that people would recognize. And you're right. I mean, Tanya Lee Williams is someone that people know. You know, Meister Festus Williams is someone that people know in this country. So we were constantly trying to balance all the time. You know, the foreign, the domestic, the American. You know, Flex Alexander is someone that people know in the States. Danny is someone that people know. So we're constantly, you know, juggling all these balls to try to make sure that the film will find a life at home and abroad.
Just one more comment, Tony. The good news is also the bad news. The good news is that all the buyers from all around the world are here this week. That's also the bad news, because if you're a Canadian film in your own market, in your own festival, and you're not cutting through the chatter, and you're getting one-star, you know, type of reviews, the chances of then, you know, getting a U.S. theatrical release would be slim to none, and the chances of any interest outside of maybe some TV and some other markets are very, very slim.
I just wanted to say one more thing to follow up on what John was saying about success in Canada, specifically speaking to the audience in this room. Films that seem to have cultural specificity have done incredibly well in this country in the last 5 years. You look at Water, you look at Bon Cop, Bad Cop, that's a Quebecois, you know, Anglo-Franco thing. You look at Atranajuit, which sold incredibly well outside of Canada. I mean, so that's something that I think you have value, being, you know, filmmakers from diverse backgrounds here. I think there is a desire in the world in general to see stories that are being told from different vantage points. So, you know, I think it's a good time.
That is a perfect note to end today. Thank you so much for your tolerance for our, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. Some of you came in later and may not have understood what we went through, but all of the people up here, I know you have non-stop meetings through this festival, and to take the time out, we appreciate it so much. Telefilm, thank you again, Ralph and Danny. Damon, I know you had meetings that you literally pushed to this afternoon so that you could be here. Thank you so much. And Clement, of course, thank you very much, John. And thank all of you for coming out. Wonderful questions. And don't go, because we do have Kodak coming out to do a presentation in just a short while. So thank you again. Thank you.